Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
We'd like to thank Woodbine for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Woodbine open now through December, featuring great racing, including the King's Plate coming up in August, Turf Champions Day with the Woodbine Mile in September, and much, much more. Woodbine Racing, great racing north of the border. Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Saturday morning. I'm Seth Merrow. Thanks for joining us. Before I get underway, do want to remind you that road trip this afternoon. I leave the studio after the show and we head to Cleats, our branch out in the Utica-Whitesboro area. If you're out that way, stop by for a Fan Appreciation Day. We will have contest, food, vouchers, a lot of fun out there. Cleats, we have been out a number of times. Nice clientele, and the folks who run the place, great hospitality. So again, if you're out in that area, stop by. If not, tune in because we'll have live cut-ins all afternoon. And speaking of that, we had live cut-ins this past Monday from the Finger Lakes. And again, I want to thank everybody out there, Todd Height and Jerry Richard. Todd Height, the director of racing, Jerry Richards, the racing secretary. They stopped by. Dave Mattice, we had him handicap a little bit. Jackie Davis handicapped with us for a couple of races. So it was a fun afternoon out there, as it always is, out at the Finger Lakes on Monday. And keep your eyes on Arctic Blast. Nice 2-year-old, won one of the stakes. That's why we were headed out Monday. Columbus Day, nice stakes action. But Arctic Blast for Mike Maker, certainly a 2-year-old New York bred to keep our eyes on. All right, we're keeping our eyes on today. One of the unique days in racing on the American racing calendar, as Far Hills has their jump day. It's a bettable day on the jump side of things. I'd love to get down there looking at, the photos and videos. It seems like a fun day. But a guy who is down there, and I thought we'd tap into his thoughts on the day down at Far Hills and more. Our friend Steve Byk, of course, with the radio coverage from Far Hills. Steve, good morning.
It's on the ground.
Got to do it. Before we look directly at the highlight of the day, the Grade 1 Grand National, you're a regular down there at Far Hills. And I pulled up a little video yesterday of a drone shot. I think this is from 2 or 3 years ago, but it's essentially works now, of the facility itself. It really is a big day, and I think a lot of people who have not visited some of these steeplechase days don't really realize what the atmosphere is like with the tailgating and the crowds and whatnot. Just give us a little feel for what a day at Far Hills is like.
Well, there's a great tradition here. This is the 104th running at Far Hills, the Far Hills Race Meeting, as they call it, and as it's affectionately known in the region, the Hunt. It's just a fabulous natural amphitheater. There's actually two. Well, there's more than two, but the two major spring and fall chase events in this country. In the spring at Iroquois at the Percy Warner Park in Nashville, and here at Moreland Farm in Far Hills, you have this sloping natural amphitheater that is just a fabulous setting for steeplechase racing. There's high ground, then there's low ground, depending on the race length. Typically 2 circuits or 2.5 circuits around them, and it's a legitimate challenge that has stood the test of time. And in flat racing, some of our classic races keep getting shortened, things like the Jockey Club Gold Cup, but the steeplechase racing, 2.5 miles, 2 5/8, those kinds of distances, that has really gone unchanged. So it's a terrific timing at the end of the season. There's a nice variety. The card features 4-year-old races. There's a filly and mare race. The last 3-4 years, they've instituted a 2-mile race without jumps. That in honor of the memory of John Forbes, the great New Jersey horseman. That's become a very successful and popular race on the card. That'll be the nightcap today. The Grand National, very typically will decide the championship. There has not been a repeat Grade 1 winner this year in steeplechase. So it's snap decision. If Snap can defend his title from last year, both here at Far Hills and as champion, you would think he would get another eclipse. It kind of feels going into today that this is a little bit of Snap decisions, final moment in the spotlight. He's 11 years old. He can't compete in New York anymore. Jack Fisher runs him, a few times in the spring and then either once or twice in the fall. It kind of feels like this may be the big swan song for Snap. We'll see. But everything's in place for a fabulous day. If you're showing the video, that slope, that big hill where you see the hay bales and you see typically pickup trucks and SUVs parked. Those are literally family-owned spaces that people have had for generations, and they'll come, they'll set up, they'll tailgate all day. It's a fabulous scene. The younger crowd that comes in from Manhattan and from Long Island and everywhere from Jersey, the New Jersey Rail literally drops them off across the street from the race course, the train station at Far Hills. It's very convenient. Things got a little out of control a few years ago. The crowd was up to 50,000, and frankly, New Jersey authorities asked Guy Torsiglieri to dial it back. And so they've trimmed the sails in terms of capacity to about 25, 27,000. So that's what you'll get today. It's a glorious day. It's going to be 68 degrees. It's absolutely perfect. Again, there's been years where it's been a little inclement or it's been a little chilly, but frankly, maybe this is a beneficiary of climate change because the weather's been absolutely just spectacular here. There will still be a lot of tweed. There'll still be a lot of cashmere and tweed on display, and accoutrements like pheasant feather hats, and it's a tawny crowd, Seth. You'd fit right in.
Yeah, the pictures. We say tailgating. This is a different level of tailgating for the most part. Yeah. There, it looks like we should do a road trip down there. I'd love to go down and. Again, there's betting available, which is a little bit different than most of the steeplechase meets around the country during the year. I believe, again, America's Day at the Races is covering it, if I saw that correctly. Yeah. So you'll see some familiar faces down there. I'm sure you'll run into Bill Gallo and the Clancy brothers, I'm sure, bouncing around as well. But again, let's take just another quick look at the big race of the day, the Grand National, $250,000, as you say, typically plays into the year-end honors. It's a funny field in here with a number of foreign entrants. 8-5 on the morning line. Snap Decision is the favorite. Comes in off a fifth-place finish, but ran third in that same race last year and then came back. And we have a little replay of the stretch run of last year's Grand National where Snap Decision late comes up in between a couple of horses and gets the victory by a neck. Now 11 years old. I was a little bit surprised, as I say, a lot of foreign entrants. We have one horse coming in from the Smithwick up here at Saratoga, but had run seventh. We don't have any of the top three finishers from either the Smithwick or the Shepherd, so I was a little bit surprised on that. Overall, what are your thoughts? Do you think Snap Decision has the edge in here?
I picked him, and you mentioned the betting. Be aware that the cross-country pick 5 today, the Sands Point, is the second leg. The fourth race, which is the Foxbrook, which is a restricted group. The fourth race here at Far Hills is the opener, then the Sands Point, then the Grand National, and then the 7th and 8th from Keeneland, interestingly. Ooh, nice. The 7th is a maiden race. The 8th is a good allowance. So it's a very challenging sequence. The 8th at Keeneland is a absolute head scratcher. I was a little surprised they didn't use the Raven Run, which we'll talk about in a little bit. The Raven Run is spectacular, but anyway, it's tough enough as it is. For those that are building tickets obviously you're going to use snap decision, but Seth, you mentioned the invaders, and Gordon Elliott sends 2 horses, and Gavin Cromwell shows up with a horse named Bally Sachs Hank. And I talked yesterday, those of you that listen to the radio show, I had Nick Luck on, and we really had Nick on first and foremost to talk about what's going on right now at Ascot, which is Champions Day, of course. But then I segued into the card, and I wanted his input because he saw, most of these top-level chasers during the jump season abroad. Bally Sachs Hank, to me, seems very live at 8-1. And I'm certainly using him. And then there's the 8-year-old from Gordon Elliott, Zanahir, who's a serious horse, 7-time winner, a horse that almost always fires. And they're going to get pretty firm going. We had rain early in the week, but there's been sun and wind the last 3 days since I've been here. So the course should be in I'd call it, firm with some good spots. The going is going to be terrific. So I'm using the 5, the 7, and the 2 in here. I know there's some people who will probably want to use Fedor, the other Gordon Elliott horse, who's about 6-1. The other American, Leslie Young, who's not had a typical Leslie Young season. She's got Bay Patron coming back, has run 2 good races, or the last 2 times that he's been seen is in the Iroquois. He's had really incomplete seasons, but at his best, Bay Patron's a real horse. The Lonesome Glory winner is here, Swore. This is an Arthur Hancock bred that my friend and partner in Landauer, Patrick Lewis, Upland Flats Racing, he partnered up with Stacy and Arthur Hancock, and Swore is an emergent horse, 10-1 in here with Steve Moqueen. So this is a competitive group, and I think you want to try to keep it a little bit narrow, and the invaders and snap decision probably get you through.
Yeah, I like snap decision. Bally Sachs Hank is interesting to me, and Swore on the inside 10-1. I think was a little bit live and interesting. All right, let's move on. We kind of alluded to it, but some of the other action on the day. Just get some of your opinions there. First up, we'll take a look in New York at the Sands Point. Mile and 1/8 on the grass for the 3-year-old fillies. I pulled up a replay here of the Winter Memories going back to late September. It's going to be Ready for Candy, getting it done in the Winter Memories, just barely over Paradise City and Decadent, who are also entered this afternoon. So the top 3 finishers come back in the Sands Point. But I put Pretty Picture on top. I thought the Chad Brown runner, with only a couple starts under the belt, may offer a little bit of value. That one was interesting to me. How did you see the Sands Point?
Well, you mentioned the Winter Memories outcome. Ready for Candy, to be honest, we should have won that race by open length. If Ready for Candy runs back to her maiden win and to the Winter Memories effort, she's way the horse to beat. I understand both of the Chad horses are interesting, Griselda and Pretty Picture. Pretty Picture is a little obscured because of that off the turf race at Monmouth. But two really nice efforts to start the career. It would not be a shock. Horses like this on a regular basis, Chad wins with, so that wouldn't surprise me. But the horse at a price that I wanted to use was actually Winfinity from John Ortiz. And Winfinity is going to be, 12-1, 14-1. And she absolutely fits in here. So that's what I'm doing. I made Ready for Candy an A and a single on the cross country. And then I used Winfinity as a backup C ticket type. But Ready for Candy's supposed to win this race.
You had the picks posted over on stevebyk.com? Very good. So folks can check that out, certainly. All right, and let's go over, before I let you go, the two races at Keeneland. You said it earlier about the Raven Run, but both of these are very interesting. 3-year-old boys, 3-year-old girls, some familiar faces from the early portion of the year on the 3-year-old side of things. Let's start things out with the Perryville, and again, it's a fun field in here. I pulled up the results. The stretch run to the Allen Jerkins. Number 1, Patch Adams wins, but right there is number 7, Captain Cook. I tilted towards Captain Cook off of that effort, a 103 buyer. But we have Barnes in here. We have Gaming in here.
Gaming scratched.
Oh, okay. Gaming's out. Very good. Owen Almighty off of kind of the dud at Charlestown in the comebacker, but interesting in here on the second start back off the last. It's a fun field of 3-year-olds. What did you think in the Perryville?
Well, I respect Captain Cook. That was a tremendous effort in the Jerkins. Todd's had a little bit more time now to work with him too. So Captain Cook makes a lot of sense. Barnes, this is probably, this is pretty much what he was supposed to be doing. The horse at a price who's, I think, playable is Taylor's Version from Dale Romans. And by the way, keep your ear to the ground, because there's an interesting watch going on. Dale Romans is very likely to run for Senate in Kentucky, and some of those drum beats are getting a little bit louder. And we'll know more, I would think, in the next couple of weeks. But look for Dale Romans potentially to make a Senate run. Yeah.
I knew something like that was kind of whispered months ago. It's interesting. And he's been kind of a prominent player, like the Florida situation. He was involved in that. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, good for Dale.
Yeah, it'd be terrific. Certainly, there'll be plenty of support for it on at the races. That I'll tell you. But Taylor's Version is an emergent sprinter. And there's also, well, I was going to say, there was a horse that the sibling was supposed to debut in the next race, but actually Aunt Sherry has scratched out of that 7th race. But the point is that, Captain Cook, Barnes, Taylor's Version, I won't be surprised. You mentioned Owen Almighty. That was a weird place to come back. Yeah. On the bull ring at Charlestown. I don't know why they did that. I mean, hasn't he proven that he's a better 1-turn horse than 2-turn? So anyway, I don't know what to expect there. And that Rolando is nothing wrong with Rolando. He's run decent races as well. So it's a 5-horse field with Gaming scratched, but it's a good group.
I agree. A lot of fun. And as I say, you alluded to it earlier with the Raven Run, also a good group. This one for the 3-year-old fillies. I pulled up a replay of a horse that I have on top and I've liked throughout the career, Ragtime. We're going to take a look at the win in the Dogwood in the most recent effort at the end of September over at Churchill. It will be Ragtime for Godolphin and Bill Mott. I have that one on top. I thought Usho is interesting. Maida, also a player and outside towards the outside, Simply Joking. The return of Quiet Side is going to be interesting to people. How did you see the Raven Run?
Well, for starters, let me give everybody the scratches. You can take the 2, 3, 4, and 6 out. And that includes a horse that I like, Strong State from Al Stahl. And, Strong State, Delightful Claire, and Ragtime, that was your trifecta in the Dogwood. I don't think Ragtime has to win this race by any means. There's going in, there were 3 or 4 horses that on figures, on Thoroughgraph, for instance, that have run faster than she has. She's certainly one of the ones. Usha from Baffert. Baffert could have a very big day. His horses have not been running great out of town, to be honest. Not like they, traditionally have. So you got to be a little cognizant of that. But Usha's these 2 races. Once Usha got back from New York, this was a New York bred that Baffert sent to the Terra Novas. Now back in Bob's care, and she's she's really live in here. And considering that she's third choice, and I think she will be third choice because Ragtime and Quiet Side, they're the two favorites without a doubt. So if you get 4-1, 9-2 on Usha, she's very much the horse to key. Yeah, Brittany Russell's got that Maida, who was explosive last time, and if Maida runs back, to her last, she's competitive. There's the California Invader oh my gosh, I'm going to forget her first name. Is it Aggie? Annie Ordonez. Almond Joy, the Calbred. Nice horse. And Kent DeSormo comes east to ride. This is a terrific race. You mentioned the return of Quiet Side. There's also the return of Simply Joking, who's now in the hands of Michael McCarthy. And how about that 58 and change Bullet Work coming in? I think Simply Joking at 8-1, especially now with my pick scratching, Strong State, I'm going to end up keying off of Simply Joking. She's got to be, 6, 7, 8-1, easily. Terrific running of this. And Delightful Claire. Phil Bauer's always dangerous. Rosario's going to have to work out a trip from down inside, but this is a really, really good race.
I had Simply Joking down at the bottom of my mix, but I agree completely. That one is very interesting, now based out in Southern California, and that workout coming in, intriguing. Yeah, a couple of fun stakes for the 3-year-olds out at Keeneland on this Saturday. Nice card in New York, and a fun card down at Far Hills. Certainly wish you and Tina a lot of fun this afternoon. Say hello to any of the familiar faces you see, and enjoy the day.
Well, it's familiar. I mean, everybody's familiar with Seth Merrow. I mean, everybody. That means I got to say hello to everybody.
Well, maybe just hold a sign.
Seth Merrow says hello.
Yeah, that would be that would be the if that's the case, take a picture and post it on social media. Steve, appreciate the visit, and of course we'll talk again. And again, I tell people to visit the website for the selections for today.
You bet.
Steve Byk, again, boots on the ground from Far Hills, where again the unique steeplechase card that offers wagering, and one of the highlights obviously is the Grade 1 Grand National. Again, that plays typically into the steeplechase Eclipse, which I vote for, and I think everybody should. But if you can't figure out the steeplechase, you shouldn't be voting. So I look at this obviously at the end of the year, and we'll see if Snap Decision can do it again at age 11. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, more on this Saturday morning racing across America. Stay tuned.
You know the time is now. What you waiting for? The time is now. Hear us knocking at the door. The time is now. Do you want to give them more when the time is now? You've seen the rest now. You want the best when the time is now.
The 2025 Global Symposium on Racing. It's the premier networking event of the year. Connect with the who's who of racing. Collaborate face-to-face with key decision makers. Be a part of the international conversation. Discover the latest technology and innovation. Join us December 8th through 10th. Register at racingsymposium.com.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Saturday morning. Again, Seth Merrow in the studio. Thanks for joining us. And again, do want to continue to remind you that today we will be live from Cleats during the afternoon. That's our branch out in the Whitesboro, Utica area. We invite you to join us. If you can't join us, tune in all afternoon. We'll have live cut-ins. So we invite you for that. And I'm just making sure I have all my notes here because I'm just going to do some news and notes. And there's some interesting news over the past few days. But I'm going to do some news and notes because, again, it's a 12:10 post time in New York. And I wrapped up early usually the pregame show starts about an hour and a half before the kickoff. And so 12:10 meant 10:40. And so last week we wrapped up at 10:40 and they didn't start the show until 11 o'clock. But they started by saying, oh, well, we don't have as much time as usual. So I'm wondering if today, I was going to schedule a whole full show today and more guests. And I thought, well, I will look up at the signal and sure enough, they will have started at 10. So I'm just leaving kind of some leeway here to keep my eyes so we can get you to the pregame show in New York if and when that starts before 11 o'clock. So there's the note there. One of the notes, and again, I'll get more information. I'm not an expert on it, but it's going to be interesting over the next month or so as we have a brand new condition in the condition books. They're now going to have ratings-based races, and it's similar to what you see overseas. Horses have ratings, and I should check, maybe if I can pull this up quickly, and I don't know whether I can. I have right here. Let me see if I can pull up a horse quickly. I'll try Sovereignty, because I do think if you go to Equibase now, it's right there. If you pull up a horse on Equibase now, the horse profile, next to the horse's name, you're going to find a number. That's the rating. And Southern California is starting it. That's in their condition book now. I might have read New York, but this is going to get rolled out, I think. There is some consternation on social media, and I kind of get it. Folks are looking at the ratings on some horses, and horses you would think would be rated better than other horses. I get it. And some people have made the comment, overseas they do this, and the rating system is a panel of people who get together and do some rating. This seems to be based on an algorithm by Equibase. We'll see how it works out. But I'll just alert you, as I say, I'm not an expert on it at this point. It's just something that's kind of come out in the last 2 or 3 days. We'll see if we can get a little more info, perhaps. But it will be interesting to. And the game plan is you have a condition that says that this horse is open to. This race is open to horses in this rating, area. With the game plan, obviously, to be getting horses together that are fairly evenly matched for a race, and just makes a little bit of a different situation from our allowance conditions and claiming races, obviously. And we'll see how it works. As I say, it's in the condition book now in Southern California. Let's see how it works out with a few races. People were kind of questioning the numbers, as I say, and Equibase has said, and I haven't checked to see if they've put it out yet, but they said they're trying to be as transparent as possible, putting out the algorithm so folks will know how the rating is attained. But it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out over the next few weeks. It may be something that, good idea. Some people have said, this getting rolled out too fast. Maybe the numbers seem a little funny. But is it good? I mean, at one point or another, it has to get rolled out. So maybe you roll it out and then kind of tweak it from there. We'll see. It'll be interesting. But I'm just looking as well. Sovereignty. That's interesting. Sovereignty, and I'm assuming every horse will have this. There's now a tab on the Equibase page that says rating history. And over a couple of days in September, Sovereignty moved a point. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Again, it's something new that's coming to the game, it looks like. And maybe it has to be tweaked. Maybe we'll all be thrilled with it. Who knows? But keep your eyes open for that as you pull out your PPs now. That'll be a new condition to check out. There was also social media consternation going back a couple of days, back to Thursday, the second race at Keeneland. And I think we have the stretch run here where if you had the 7 and the 5, you were thrilled. You can see the 7 is up there. Wrong shoes, 44-1. The 5 is going to make a late run to get up and run second at 53-1. Number 11, Loving Mischief, runs third at 9-1. But it's 44-1 over 53-1 here. And you can see the 44-1 shot just runs away. Chart margin's 5. It's pretty clear second to third as well. So 44-1 over 53-1. $91 and change for your win, $41 and change for your place. And again, there was some consternation on social media. You can see here they were the second and third longest prices on the board. You can see there's a 76-1 shot down there at the bottom. Otherwise, these were the second and third longest prices in a full 11-horse field. But the $1 exacta, $286. There was a lot of parsing out. Pat Cummings put up some numbers that parsed out how the betting went over the last few flashes. And it was very late in the betting. This was paying over $1,000. And then the horse in like the last cycle took a hit. Now, I will say, according to the numbers posted, and again, this was over, you can check it on Twitter, it was $400 that was bet late. You know, we look at these CAWs as pouring in millions and millions of dollars. Well, in this situation, for this combination, it took a big hit with $400 and some dollars going in late on the combination. But again, with those numbers and that exacta payoff, I get it. People were upset. There's been a lot of talk over the past few weeks on social media out in Southern California, New York. They closed their win pools early to the CAWs. Keeneland has not done that. There was a quote from one of the head folks at Keeneland. We realize it's happening. We're aware of it. We'll see what. And I think I have all kinds of questions about the CAWs because there is no transparency there, and nobody really. Folks look at the win odds on a horse. It's 8-1 out of the gate and comes under the wire at 4-1. The CAWs, and they're always right. Are they always right? How often do they lose? I'd love to know that. But I'd also love to know more about what they're doing exactly, because there's also the talk that they're not betting one horse. They're essentially looking for efficiency in the pools, and so they could be betting more than one horse. Are they betting all the horses? I mean, I would love to know, and I would love to have one or many of the tracks be transparent. And I get it; they don't want to, give away customer information, so to speak. But I think you don't have to name the particular CAW that is doing it, but just tell us. You don't even have to name the race necessarily. You can say this race is from the past couple of months or whatever, but give us some feeling for how the CAWs actually bet into a race. How much is bet, and is it on one combination, various combinations in the exacta pool, one horse, various horses in the win pool, and just give us an idea of what we're up against here as retail players, so to speak. And I think that would be helpful. But I wonder if tracks don't do that, because it's not going to look good for anybody. My feeling kind of is that, and I'm not an expert on the CAWs, mainly because, as I say, it's hard to be an expert. There isn't a lot of transparency. But my feeling is being plugged in the way they are into the tote system and being able to have the numbers come to their computer, analyze in, computer time, milliseconds, and then bet in, as that last horse is loading into the gate. To me, it's kind of the horse racing equivalent to card counting. And if you're out in Las Vegas and the casino thinks you're counting cards, to me, that's not cheating. You're just being smart and, getting your advantage. But for card counting, you're playing against the house, and the house doesn't want you to have that advantage. And so they frown on and push you out if you're a card counter. In horse racing, it's parimutuel wagering. And so the house is like, yeah, you want to put millions in, but we as the retail player take the short end of that. So the racing game, I think, is going to have to address this in some fashion, particularly because it's getting loud on social media. And this race just a couple of days ago at Keeneland really had people kind of like up in arms, certainly, and understandably so, because it's kind of fundamentally changed the way we look at it. Because we all, or I think the vast majority of us, look up at the payouts and make our decisions based on that, whether it's a win situation, you look up and I like this horse, but 7-5, I'm not that thrilled. I like this horse 5-1, 10-1, I'm thrilled. And then those decisions are drastically changed really after the gates open, as these guys are getting in the last second, so that flash doesn't come for a while. So as I say, I think the racing game is going to have to sit down and take a real look at this, as it were. And I think Keeneland, sooner rather than later, will have to go also to that 2 minutes to post kind of situation for the CAWs. But as I say, that race on Thursday, it was interesting to say the least. Wanted to pull up. I know we're racing across America, but last night, I think about 1:15 our time, there was an interesting race down in Australia at Randwick. It was the Everest, $13 million up for grabs, making it the richest sprint in the world, 6 furlongs on the turf. They get to that $13 million, you buy your way in. You pay $447,000 to enter your horse. They had a field in there. I pulled up the chart here. Wound up to be a field of 12. But I bring it up, and we have the replay here, because a star, horse of the year in Hong Kong, Ka Ying Rising. You will see there in the yellow cap making the late move here, yellow cap, red sleeves. Ka Ying Rising came into this race, 16 starts, 14 wins, a couple of seconds. I think a 13-race win streak, if I'm not mistaken. And again, Hong Kong horse of the year. So all eyes were on this one, and gets it done pretty nicely with a late run, and runs the record to 15 wins in 17 starts. There was a question mark coming in, because down there they have barrier trials, which are essentially, practice races, for lack of a better term. And this horse had run third in the practice, and folks were kind of, I don't know. And the practice was only October 7th, so a week and a half ago. So folks were a little suspicious. Trainer maintained his confidence. Zach Burton was riding a veteran on the Hong Kong scene, who, according to an article I read today, was actually contemplating retirement in recent months or last year, but got tied up with this horse and said, maybe I'll hold off a little bit. Good move, Zach, as this horse gets it done again in the $13 million. There's a nice jockey fee, a $13 million race again last night down at Randwick. Also, Caulfield Cup yesterday, one of the more prominent races down in Australia, was won by a female jockey for the first time. So that was a little bit notable as well. There was some, obviously big races on the day down under, and again making some news as well with the win by Ka Ying Rising and the female jockey. I'm trying to find her name here as we're watching it. I I thought I had written it down, but I'll get it sooner rather than later here because it was a headline event. Jamie Mello makes history winning the Caulfield Cup, first women jockey to win the $5 million race. And you'll see the victory here with a nice win in, as I say, what is one of their more prominent races down there, the Caulfield Cup. So good on her. It said overcome with emotion, paying tribute to her father and paying tribute to the father and son training duo of Tony and Calvin McAvoy. First women jockey to win Caulfield Cup, 149-year history. I also made a couple of notes because we will want to be paying attention in, a couple of weeks. The first Tuesday in November, it is the Melbourne Cup. And the first United States horse to run in the Melbourne Cup will be down there, Parchment Party. John Velasquez is scheduled to ride, and it's a Belmont trainee that got in with a victory up here at Saratoga in the Belmont Invitational Derby. The whole story is interesting. Gets in with the victory in the Belmont Gold Cup, actually, which was held up here at Saratoga on that Belmont Stakes weekend back on the 6th of June. So Belmont Gold Cup Stakes was a win and you're in for the Melbourne Cup. It was scheduled for the turf, but due to circumstances was rained off. Parchment Party, as I understand, was a main track only. The Melbourne Cup is on the grass. This horse is run on the grass. We'll see, but they picked up the challenge. I love this. The horse has been overseas in kind of a quarantine for a few weeks now. Arrived in Australia, I believe, on Tuesday. And again, first Tuesday in November, we'll have to keep our eyes on the Melbourne Cup with Belmont training. John Velasquez scheduled to ride. And the horse was bred by Bobby Flay. Current owners, Pin Oak Stud. Parchment Party trying to set some history there with a win in the Melbourne Cup, perhaps by the first American horse to go down and take the shot. And again, won his way in with the Belmont Gold Cup Stakes, but then followed that up early in August, winning the Birdstone at Saratoga as well, the marathon event at Saratoga. So just fun. Again, familiar connections. A horse that won at Saratoga a couple times this year, down for the Melbourne Cup. It should be a lot of fun. We'll remind you certainly as we get closer to that. All right, why don't we take one more break? And I'm watching. The NYRA show still hasn't kicked off, so I guess we have the final stretch here to take us through, and we will come back after this and some more news and notes, so stay tuned.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
You know the time is now. What you waiting for? The time is now. Hear us knocking at the door. The time is now. Do you want to give them more when the time is now? You've seen the rest now. You want the best, but the time is now.
The 2025 Global Symposium on Racing. It's the premier networking event of the year. Connect with the who's who of racing. Collaborate face-to-face with key decision makers. Be a part of the international conversation. Discover the latest technology and innovation. Join us December 8th through 10th. Register at racingsymposium.com.
Welcome back. Still plenty of activity up at Saratoga on the horse racing side of things. I admit I forgot with the holiday. I had my days all mixed up. But Tuesday, the Basic Tipton October sale took place. And looking at social media, some nice prices there. That's always fun. Again, I'm kicking myself that I missed it. You get kind of your real last blast of horses and horse racing up in Saratoga until next year with that sale. But again, seems to be, it was... well, I was going to say well attended, but it was well attended certainly. And having not been there, I didn't actually see the crowd, but it was well attended by people who wanted to spend some money. So again, congratulations to Basic Tipton on a nice October sale up here at Saratoga. But also there was some racing action of note yesterday. A number of Pletcher horses worked out on their way to the Breeders' Cup. Fierceness, Mindframe, Antiquarian, and Locked. The follow-up. Blood Horse, I have a Blood Horse article here. Dave Grenig, I think, also covered these works at the Racing Forum. But the article I have quotes Pletcher as saying, I thought Mindframe went super, had a really strong gallop out. Locked, since he's run more recently, we weren't looking for quite as much on the gallop out for him, but I thought both went well. Pletcher confirmed that Locked will go in the Classic rather than the Dirt Mile. Also, Fierceness breezed to the inside of Antiquarian up there. Pletcher, again, being quoted, just another typical of what we've seen from Fierceness. Every breeze, he just does things very efficiently. He looked good coming to the wire, stayed on, galloped out nicely. We wanted to match him up with a little stronger mate today to get a good work. I thought Antiquarian responded well. He stayed on course and galloped out nicely. A good work from both of them. Antiquarian to me is interesting. They're both Fierceness and Antiquarian coming out of 1.25 mile wins. Fierceness with the Pacific Classic and the Jockey Club Gold Cup to Antiquarian. Antiquarian, again, a little bit of a price that I think you'll get a price on Antiquarian because it's going to be just a crazy good edition of the Classic. But Antiquarian maybe a little bit intriguing. And finally, if you didn't see it earlier this week, it was officially, coming out of the kind of the lackluster performance at Keeneland a couple of weeks ago. You kind of see it coming. Kenny McPeak had alluded to it, but Torpedo Anna officially retired. However, folks will get a chance to see her both October 25th and 26th, first at Keeneland and then over at Churchill Downs, as she will be out kind of paraded, at some point during the card for the fans. I'm sure folks will turn out at Keeneland on the 25th from 11 a.m. until, I would assume, an hour or so. Folks are going to be able to visit her in her barn as well, but she will appear at the track again next weekend. Keeneland on Saturday, Churchill on Sunday. It is Keeneland's wrap-up weekend. Coming up next week. So again, Torpedo Anna off to the breeding shed after obviously an incredible career. Torpedo Anna, 12 wins in 16 starts with a couple of second place finishes as well up here at Saratoga, including just this year, the personal ensign victory. One of her best races might have been that second place finish in the Travers. I had picked her that day. I thought she was going to go by, just couldn't get by. But it was a nice performance, and it was one of those that last summer, a year ago, this summer as well, but last summer, Ken McPeak was so generous with the horse, and the fans had completely plugged in. So that Travers, and he said she didn't have anything to prove in the Alabama, and they took the shot in the Travers, and it was just a close, kind of frustrating loss, although it was a great race, one of the best races of 2024. So again, Torpedo Anna officially retired. And we'll look for Torpedo Anna babies on the racetrack to see if she can replicate her talent. And it's hit or miss with some of these really nice fillies and mares after they leave the racetrack, but it'll be fun to see. One way or the other, how they pan out. All right, going to wrap it up for Racing Across America on a Saturday morning. Seth Merrow in the studio. do want to remind you once again, let me get my promo sheet here because I want to make, first, cleats. We will be live on the road. If you're out in the Utica, Whitesboro area, stop by, say hello. Should be a lot of fun. Fan Appreciation Day, food, vouchers, contest. Come on in, say hello. If you can't make it out there, you can check us out here on the network live with cut-ins all afternoon. If you'd like to come down to the Clubhouse Racebook this afternoon, King of the Hill contest. Win a little extra money. See if you can get crowned king this afternoon. King of the Hill contest, Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Same spot that Sunday. You can always check out the football action over in our food vendor, Black Bear. Stop by, have a little lunch, watch the football games, and enjoy all the racing action. Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. All right, time for me to hop in the car and head to Cleats. So we'll see you this afternoon here on the network, but we will be on the road. So looking forward to it. Hopefully you are too. As we've kind of laid it out, really a great fun day of racing. Again, that cross country, as Steve Byk said, I think looks like a lot of fun with the Far Hills action in the mix. So take a look at that. But a couple of nice 3-year-old stakes at Keeneland, fun day at Belmont at the Big A and beyond. And we'll recap much of that tomorrow when we're back in here for Racing Across America Sunday morning at 10 a.m. But we're wrapping things up for a Saturday morning. Again, thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. On the road, probably, 11 o'clock? Probably can check us out, kicking off at Cleats in about 2 hours. We'll kick things off from our on-the-road location. So we'll see you then. We'd like to thank Woodbine for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Woodbine open now through December, featuring great racing, including the King's Plate coming up in August, Turf Champions Day with the Woodbine Mile in September, and much, much more. Woodbine Racing, great racing north of the border.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.